Hey tubers, welcome back to the Horde, and you're looking at today's adventure. This is a China ATV, obviously, that somebody's put a 125cc motorcycle engine on, so it's got a hand clutch and the whole bit. The first thing we got to do is drag it out of the snow and see if we can't get it running though. Here it is in all its glory. I put all the plastic on it that I own, that came with it, and the seat. I would consider this a mid-sized all-terrain vehicle. A little narrow for somebody who weighs as much as I do from the waist up, so that can make it a little bit tippy. The only piece I seem to be missing is this one. No big deal. Not necessary. This is not going to be a beauty queen. Interesting to see the plastic patina, but not here. There must have been a shadow across it. Anyway, starting in the front, obviously I have front suspension and we have grease fittings, right? Love to see the grease fittings. That's a good thing. Tires are in real nice shape. And we could see from here that the wire harness is just a mess. Okay, here's what makes this thing special. It's got a Kymco, K-Y-M-C-O, 125cc motorcycle engine, pit bike type engine on it. Now, buddy of mine, Kevin Bergeron, gave this to me as part of a trade, and he indicated that the motor was from a wrecked dirt bike that had very few hours on it. It's almost like they got it, wrecked it, and parted it out that quick, right? 1, 2, 3. I believe Kevin put the engine on this thing, or I think he did, because it's done quite well, right? It's mounted up nicely. About the wiring is completely out to lunch. When you see this kind of stuff, you know it's done. Also, when you're trying to put a dirt bike motor onto an all-terrain vehicle, chances are you're going to have trouble. You really kind of want to keep the harness from the dirt bike motor and get rid of everything on the all-terrain vehicle. And same when you swap the other way around. From the looks of this harness, though, my guess is they had trouble with the engine that was on there. Though the engine's also in part, so they might have blown it up and had electrical problems. They might have gone both ways with it, right? Never underestimate the ability to ruin things. So a quick look at the wiring. One would very quickly say, let's see, I got positive, and it goes to ground, and it's nailed to ground. Then I got ground, which goes to ground, right? The motor and all are grounded. Then, with the black stuff on it, the negative goes into the starter. So I'm just gonna, quite honestly, I'm just gonna make the assumption that this wiring really has like no redeeming features, and we're just gonna start fresh, right? If you want to play with the wiring that's already there, you know, after when you have an electrical problem, that's bad because you got one problem. When you have an electrical problem that somebody's cut on and swapped an engine and done some creative rewiring, you really just have to assume you have nothing and start fresh with that assumption in your head. You got to go right back to basics. So as an example, starter, right, goes into the starter relay, right? One side is in the right place, but then they got ground on the other side, so we're going to get that off. This should actually go into one side of the starter relay, right? So that's one thing to power this starter relay, we have these wires right here. Obviously one at ground, one hot. The relay gets fired up, battery powers your starter, you're all happy, right? Contacts close, battery powers your starter, you're happy. So that's as much of the DC as we need. I might just clip a jump pack to it and use the switch on the jump pack to turn the motor over. So I have a plan for turning the motor over. Now the question is, does the motor turn over? So it does have a Kickstarter on it. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter hits this right here. That's something that could be cut, I guess. But if you turn it over, it does seem to turn, and it does seem to have a compression. And Kevin told me the engine's good, so we're going with that. By the way, I got the engine and I got the exhaust system, and this thing is heavy. I took it off for transport, one thing, and the other thing is I'm not quite sure it bolted right up here. I think maybe it did, but you don't want that just swinging by the exhaust pipe. It would break. It would probably break the pipe right there at the manifold. Now that we have a plan of attack to get the starter spinning, what about getting spark to this thing? You got two sets of wires coming out of the motor. I think these back wires, especially considering, looks like this case is split here, it looks like I can take this right off, and if I did, the stator coils would come out, and so would the pulse generator. I'm thinking that this set of wires here would contain my ignition, my pulse generator particularly. And it just so happens I got a blue and yellow, which I think, almost positive, is my pulse generator. And the other two, the yellow and the pink, I normally see those colors when somebody is running a two-phase voltage regulator, right? Those two go into one side of the voltage regulator. You pick up ground from the body, the wire harness, and out the other side of the voltage regulator is a red and black that go directly to the battery. So when I go to put my jump pack on this, I'm obviously going to take advantage of the blue and yellow, and I'm going to pick up ground like off of here, right? Because you could see I got ground right there, right? It keeps going, and right up to here, and bolt it right on. So that'll get me spark. Next comes carburation, and there is a carburetor on there. I see bubbles here. So I think I could just turn the gas on. I think there's gas in there. Let's give it a sniff. Oh yeah, there's gas in there. I splashed it around and it actually smells good. So I think all I have to do is put my jump pack on it. We'll get this thing fired up. Then we'll pop it in gear, check to see if the clutch works. But wait. And it wouldn't really take much to get this out for a ride. Should somebody get one of these things, it is going to be crazy easy with this much power and all that gear ratio that you can really get it whirling about pretty well. But do pay attention. Let me caution you before you get on for your first ride that for an adult, you're top heavy. You're much heavier from the waist up than a younger person is typically heavier from the waist down. Well, waist down puts the weight down here, waist up puts the weight up here. Uh-oh, my center of gravity, once I get this thing sliding, it'd be very easy to just roll it. So careful, folks. So I mentioned one wire coming out of the engine, and then you guys see this kind of stuff and you get scared. What this was probably used for is on the dashboard, right? It either had lights that were, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 next to numbers, or it had a digital display up on the dashboard. That's probably what the motorcycle had, the pit bike had. Once again, this motor, the Kymcos, are way up there when it comes to the China motor. They're one of the best, one of the better ones. Opinions are opinions, but I think these motors are better built than Suzuki's, generally speaking, right? I'm sure there are Suzuki engines out there that are more bulletproof than Honda, but I say that with a smile. I really don't mean it. But you just look at the engine, right? It is big, it is solid, it is heavy, it is machined well. I think it's a real nice engine. So the Kymcos and what is it, CF Force, those two are really top of the line when it comes to the China engines. So I took the wire harness off. I'm not going to be using any of the positive, but I'm just looking. This is the remainder of the wire harness. And here are the wires that plug into the jack that comes off the engine, the connector that comes off the engine. I'm going to take this all apart. Somebody already did it, one hell of a tape job on it. Anyway, I'm going to take this apart. That way I don't have to cut into the wires coming off the engine, right? I get to keep those nice and neat and clean. So I took the wire harness apart to some extent, and this had to be the wire harness that went with the Kymco engine. This plug here probably went to the CDI unit, and you can see green for ground. You got a black and yellow in there. You got the blue and yellow. And then you got the black with the stripe on it. That's probably where the power came in. You could see it's only a 4-pin. So this thing ran with a DC powered CDI unit. This is the guy that plugs into the motor. And I cleared off a piece of the blue and yellow. That way I can hook up my portable CDI box, hook up ground to there. We got spark. We'll have this thing running in no time. So it's ready to try. We'll see if it starts. I have starting fluid here, but let's see if it'll start with the choke to begin with. Anyway, the jump pack's on. You can see it right here. Right, that's lit up. So the choke is one of those spring things, so I'm going to actually have to put my fingers on it to make sure that I can engage it. So I'm going to have to set up the camera. Unfortunately, my camera stand appears to be in the house at the moment, so I'm going to have to set the camera up on a block and all. But let's give this thing a try. I'm sure we could get it running. Let's see what this thing wants to do. Ignition on. I have to kind of put the choke on by hand. Choke's on. Got a whole lot of nothing there. There you go. Let's give that a try. A little more. I don't know why it's not drawing gas. Probably the float stuck in the carburetor. I'm going to have to take it apart. Yeah, it sounds like they're only firing on the starting fluid, so I'm going to have to pull that carburetor apart. And just to give you an idea what the carburetor is, I'm going to have to figure out how to get it apart. The gas tank, I'm not sure what's holding the gas tank in place. Like these bolts here, right? You could see that's just to hold plastic on. Got no bolts back here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a few minutes getting that apart. Anyway, we have proven that this thing runs, and what I'll do for the next video, I'll get it running reliably, right? I'll either use the portable ignition system or hack something in there, and we'll actually get it out for a ride. I got a picture. This thing is a blast to ride on. I would love, maybe I could put the wheels on backwards and get a little more width out of it. Then it'll be a little less tippy, right? Anyway, just thinking out loud. Anyhow, so today's Christmas Eve. I gotta wrap this up and get inside before the wife gets cranky with me. For those of us who are married, you realize you may have projects, but the wife also has projects that she might want you to do. And if you want to have a successful Christmas, you best be getting back to some of those projects. So in the meantime, please remember, feet down, heads up, and I need you all to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.